The sun drenched the vibrant city of Messina. Laughter echoed through the bustling marketplace. The scent of fresh bread and spices filled the air. Life was good in Messina, a city brimming with warmth and vitality. News arrived of a triumphant return. Don Pedro, the Prince of Aragon, was on his way. He had just secured a significant victory in a recent campaign. With him were his loyal followers, including two notable figures: Claudio, a young lord, and Benedict, a witty gentleman. Excitement rippled through the city. Leonato, the governor of Messina, prepared a grand welcome for the prince and his men. Leonato, a man known for his generosity and warmth, opened his home and his heart to his distinguished guests. The city buzzed with anticipation. The arrival of Don Pedro promised excitement and intrigue. Little did they know, love and deception were about to take center stage. Among the bustling crowd, two pairs stood out. Their interactions hinted at the tangled webs of love and conflict to come. Claudio, a young man of noble bearing, found his eyes drawn to Hero, Leonato's beautiful daughter. Her grace and kindness captivated him. Hero, in turn, was drawn to Claudio's quiet strength and gentle demeanor. Their connection was immediate. A spark of attraction ignited amidst the celebratory chaos. Their love story, however, would not be without its trials.
But what is love? A mere folly, a distraction for the weak-hearted.
And yet, Benedict, you seem quite distracted yourself.
Meanwhile, sparks of a different kind flew between Benedict and Beatrice, Leonato's niece. Their relationship was a fiery dance of wit and intellect, a constant exchange of playful barbs and teasing retorts. They were the epitome of will they, weren't they? Their sharp banter masking a deeper connection. Their friends watched with amusement. Could this constant bickering be masking something more? Or were Benedict and Beatrice truly content in their roles as confirmed singles, sworn enemies of love? Only time would tell. Unbeknownst to the merrymakers, a storm brewed on the horizon. Don John, Don Pedro's illegitimate brother, nursed a deep-seated resentment. His bitterness festered, fueled by envy and a thirst for revenge. Don John watched the budding romance between Claudio and Hero with a venomous eye. His brother's happiness and the joy surrounding it was unbearable to him. He craved disruption, chaos, a chance to strike at the heart of their joy. Whispers of a plot began to circulate. Don John, in the shadows, began to weave his web of deceit. He saw an opportunity to exploit the vulnerabilities of love, to use Claudio's affections against him and shatter the fragile happiness blossoming in Messina. The stage was set for a clash of love and deception. The characters, unaware of the impending storm, continued their dance of courtship and conflict. The question was not if the storm would hit, but when. The days that followed Don Pedro's arrival were a whirlwind of festivities. Balls, banquets, and outings filled the hours, each event offering Claudio a chance to steal a moment with the enchanting Hero. His heart, captivated by her gentle nature and quick wit, beat a joyful rhythm whenever she was near. He found himself drawn to her quiet grace, the way her eyes sparkled with amusement at his attempts at humor. Hero, in turn, found herself charmed by his sincerity and kindness. Claudio, unlike many of the men she knew, treated her with respect and genuine interest, eager to hear her thoughts and opinions. Their conversations, often stolen amidst the bustling crowds, were filled with a tender intimacy. They spoke of shared dreams, their hopes for the future, painting a picture of quiet contentment. Each stolen glance, each brush of their hands solidified the undeniable bond growing between them. Theirs was a love story unfolding amidst the grandeur of Leonato's estate, a delicate flower blossoming in the warmth of their shared affection. They moved through the orchestrated chaos of balls and banquets like dancers caught in a waltz, their eyes only for each other, oblivious to the whispers and watchful gazes surrounding them. While Claudio and Hero's love story unfolded with a tender grace, Benedict and Beatrice continued their playful sparring. Their exchanges, a constant volley of witty barbs and teasing retorts, were a source of endless amusement for those around them. Benedict, a confirmed bachelor with a quick wit and a silver tongue, seemed to take immense pleasure in provoking the equally sharp-tongued Beatrice. He delighted in their verbal duels, his words aimed at eliciting a fiery response from the woman who challenged him like no other. Beatrice, for her part, gave as good as she got. She parried his every jest with a clever retort, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of amusement and something akin to admiration. She refused to back down from his challenges, relishing the mental sparring that characterized their every interaction. Their friends watched with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. They recognized the undeniable chemistry between the two, the way their banter seemed to mask a deeper connection. But would either of them be brave enough to drop their guard, to admit the truth that seemed to shimmer just beneath the surface of their playful antagonism? As the days passed and Claudio and Hero's romance blossomed, Don John's resentment festered. He watched their growing happiness with a venomous envy, his mind churning with schemes to shatter their newfound joy. He saw their love as a vulnerability, a weakness he could exploit. Don John craved chaos, a chance to strike at the heart of their burgeoning relationship. His pride, wounded by his illegitimate status and his brother's success, demanded retribution. Whispers of a plot began to circulate amongst Don John's closest companions, men as jaded and cynical as their master. They spoke in hushed tones, their words hinting at a plan to deceive, to manipulate, to bring ruin upon the unsuspecting lovers. Don John, fueled by envy and a thirst for revenge, saw an opportunity to use Claudio's affections against him, to poison his heart with doubt and suspicion. The seeds of discord had been sown, and Don John, like a master puppeteer, prepared to watch them grow. The grand hall buzzed with conversation and laughter, the air thick with the scent of roasted meats and sweet wine. Musicians played a lively tune, their melodies weaving through the crowd of elegantly dressed guests. Amidst the revelry, Don John saw his opportunity. He found Claudio momentarily separated from Hero, his eyes betraying a trace of lovesick anxiety. Don John, a master of manipulation, approached him with a carefully crafted air of concern. His voice, a low murmur in Claudio's ear, dripped with feigned sympathy.
My dear Claudio, your heart wears its affections openly. It warms my heart to see you so enamored with young Hero. But forgive an older man his concern. Are you certain of her affections?
What do you mean, Don John? Hero's love is as bright as the sun. Her every glance, her every word speaks of her affection.
Love, my dear boy, can blind even the sharpest eyes. It pains me to say this, but there are whispers, rumors of another who holds Hero's interest.
And the seed of doubt had been planted, and Don John retreated to the shadows to watch it grow. He gathered his most trusted accomplices, Borachio and Conrad, men as cynical and opportunistic as their master. In the dimly lit corner of a tavern, the air thick with the smell of ale and deceit, Don John unveiled his scheme. He laid out his plan with chilling precision, his words painting a picture of betrayal and heartbreak. Borachio, a man who thrived on mischief and deceit, grinned with malicious glee. He saw an opportunity to line his pockets and satisfy his taste for chaos. Conrad, ever the pragmatist, nodded his agreement, his loyalty to Don John outweighing any moral qualms. Their plan was as cunning as it was cruel. They would use Claudio's love for Hero against him, crafting a scenario so convincing, so seemingly irrefutable, that it would shatter his trust and drive a wedge between the lovers. The days that followed were a torment for Claudio. Don John's words, like a venomous serpent's bite, poisoned his thoughts. He found himself questioning Hero's every glance, every smile, searching for any hint of the deceit Don John had insinuated. His usual cheerfulness evaporated, replaced by a brooding silence that worried his companions. Don Pedro, ever the loyal friend, observed Claudio's change with growing concern. He pressed Claudio for an explanation, eager to offer comfort and advice. "I don't know, Don Pedro. Every time I look at her, I can't help but wonder if there's something I'm missing, some betrayal." Don Pedro, his brow furrowed in concern, listened patiently to his friend's worries. He too was a man of honor, and the thought of Hero betraying Claudio's trust filled him with anger. He vowed to help his friend uncover the truth, unaware that they were being drawn deeper into Don John's web of deceit. "Don Pedro, I fear I am being made a fool of." Don John spoke of things that make me question Hero's love. What if she has betrayed me? As Claudio wrestled with his doubts, Hero remained blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around her. She reveled in the excitement of her impending nuptials, her heart overflowing with love for Claudio. Her days were filled with the delightful chaos of wedding preparations. Seamstresses bustled in and out, draping her in luxurious fabrics. Friends and family showered her with well wishes and gifts. She spoke excitedly of their future together, her eyes sparkling with dreams of a life filled with love and laughter. She saw only the good in Claudio, her love for him absolute and unwavering. However, like a dark cloud on the horizon, Don John's scheme threatened to engulf Hero's happiness. The stage was set for a confrontation, a public airing of deceit that would test the bonds of love and friendship. The question was not if the truth would be revealed, but at what cost. While Don John plotted to destroy Claudio and Hero's love, another, more light-hearted scheme was afoot. This plan, orchestrated by Leonato, Don Pedro, and Claudio, aimed to unite the sparring Benedick and Beatrice in the bonds of love. Their strategy was simple yet ingenious. They would use the power of suggestion, of overheard conversations, to plant the seed of love in the hearts of their unwitting targets. Their first mark was Beatrice. One sunny afternoon, Beatrice found herself strolling through the estate's lush gardens, seeking a moment of respite from the pre-wedding festivities. Little did she know that she was walking into a carefully orchestrated trap. Hidden amongst the fragrant roses and cascading vines were Hero and her attendant, Ursula. Their conversation, seemingly casual, was anything but. They spoke in loud whispers, their words carefully chosen to reach Beatrice's ears. Beatrice, her curiosity piqued, couldn't help but eavesdrop. She listened, her heart pounding, as Hero and Ursula painted a picture of Benedick languishing in love, consumed by his unspoken affection for his witty adversary. They spoke of his sleepless nights, his distracted demeanor, attributing his every sigh and stolen glance to his undying love for Beatrice. They lamented his stubborn refusal to admit his true feelings, his pride preventing him from confessing his heart's desire.
Could it be true? Could the arrogant, infuriating Benedick actually harbour such tender feelings for me?
The very idea, so absurd at first glance, began to take root in her mind. Unbeknownst to Beatrice, Benedick was about to undergo a similar transformation, orchestrated with equal care by the same mischievous trio. Lured to the estate's orchard with the promise of fresh fruit, he found himself within earshot of Claudio, Don Pedro, and Leonato. Their conversation, like that of Hero and Ursula, was a masterpiece of carefully crafted deception. They spoke of Beatrice's hidden love for Benedick, her sharp wit masking a heart overflowing with affection. They described her secret sighs, her longing glances, her spirited defense of Benedick's honor, a sure sign of her deep-seated love. They lamented her fear of rejection, her reluctance to expose her vulnerable heart to the man who tormented her with his playful barbs.
Could it be true? Could the woman who challenged me at every turn, who saw through my carefully constructed facade, actually care for me?
Benedick, listening from his hiding place, felt a strange sensation wash over him. Doubt mingled with a newfound hope, a warmth that spread through his chest like a ray of sunshine. The seeds of doubt had been sown, and both Benedick and Beatrice found themselves questioning their long-held beliefs about love. The playful banter that had characterized their relationship took on a new meaning, a newfound awareness coloring their every interaction. The day of the wedding dawned bright and clear, a seemingly perfect day for a celebration of love. Guests, adorned in their finest attire, filled Leonato's grand hall, their anticipation palpable. Excitement hung in the air, as light and joyful as the music that heralded the bride's arrival.
Hero, radiant in her wedding gown, her heart overflowing with love for Claudio, made her entrance. Her uncle, Leonato, beamed with pride as he escorted her down the aisle, the embodiment of a doting father. The moment was picture perfect, a scene straight out of a fairy tale.
However, a storm was brewing beneath the surface of this joyous occasion. Claudio, his face pale and drawn, stood at the altar, his eyes fixed on Hero with an unsettling intensity. The jovial air of celebration evaporated as a palpable tension gripped the room.
As the ceremony commenced, Claudio, his voice tight with barely suppressed emotion, uttered words that shattered the illusion of happiness. He accused Hero of infidelity, his words like daggers piercing the heart of the joyous occasion. The accusation, delivered with the force of a thunderbolt, left the congregation reeling.
The joyous celebration descended into chaos. Guests gasped in disbelief, their whispers echoing through the grand hall.
Hero, her face drained of color, swayed as if struck a physical blow. She stammered denials, her voice trembling with shock and hurt.
But Claudio, his heart hardened by Don John's deceit, remained unmoved. He recounted the events of the previous night, his words painting a vivid picture of Hero's supposed infidelity. His accusations, fueled by a toxic mix of jealousy and wounded pride, cut through Hero's defenses.
Leonato, his paternal love for his daughter warring with his disbelief, demanded proof. He pleaded with Claudio to reconsider, to see through the lies that had poisoned his heart. But Claudio, blinded by jealousy, refused to listen.
Hero, her reputation shattered, collapsed to the ground, her sobs echoing through the silent hall. The weight of Claudio's accusations, delivered with such cold finality, crushed her spirit. The man she loved, the man she was about to marry, had become her accuser, her judge, and her executioner. The wedding guests departed, their joy replaced by a stunned silence. The grand hall, moments ago alive with celebration, now felt heavy with sorrow and disbelief. In the aftermath of Claudio's accusations, Hero's world lay in ruins. Friar Francis, a man of God known for his wisdom and compassion, witnessed the heartbreaking scene with growing concern. He believed in Hero's innocence, sensing a deeper, more sinister plot at play. He resolved to help the young woman to find a way to clear her name.
He approached Leonato, who sat slumped in despair, his face etched with grief and anger.
Friar Francis, his voice a calming presence in the storm of emotions, offered a desperate plan, a gamble to expose the truth and redeem Hero's shattered reputation. His suggestion was audacious, a leap of faith that required unwavering trust and a belief in the power of truth. He proposed that Hero's family announce her death, a tragic consequence of Claudio's unfounded accusations. The friar believed that this would awaken Claudio's conscience, leading him to see the error of his ways.
While the household of Leonato grappled with their grief and plotted their next move, the wheels of justice, albeit comically askew, began to turn in Messina.
Dogberry, the town's bumbling constable, and his equally inept deputy Verges stumbled upon a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Borachio and Conrad, drunk on cheap wine and their perceived success, boasted of their role in Don John's scheme.
Their words, laced with crude humor and self-congratulation, reached the ears of Dogberry and Verges, who, despite their comical incompetence, possessed an uncanny knack for being in the right place at the right time.
The constables, their chests puffed out with an air of exaggerated importance, apprehended the unsuspecting villains.
Borachio and Conrad, initially amused by the buffoonery of their captors, soon realized the gravity of their situation.
Dogberry, his words a tangled mess of malapropisms and mispronounced pronouncements, interrogated the prisoners with an earnestness that belied his comical exterior.
He insisted on recording their confession, his quill scratching across the parchment, documenting the truth that would unravel Don John's web of lies.
News of Borachio and Conrad's confession, relayed with a healthy dose of Dogberry's signature ineptitude, reached Leonato and Don Pedro. The truth, like a ray of light piercing through the darkness, illuminated the depths of Don John's treachery.
I can hardly believe it. The woman I loved, the woman I publicly humiliated and rejected, was innocent all along.
Claudio, his heart heavy with guilt and remorse, was devastated by the revelation. He realized with agonizing clarity the magnitude of his mistake.
How could I have been so blind? I was so willing to believe the worst of her, my hero.
He sought out Leonato, his head bowed in shame, his voice choked with emotion.
Leonato, I beg of you, forgive me. I was wrong, so terribly wrong. My words can never truly erase the pain I've inflicted.
Leonato, his heart still heavy with grief for his daughter's supposed death, was torn between anger and a desire for justice.
Please give me a chance to atone for my actions. I will do anything.
Friar Francis, ever the voice of reason, urged Leonato to temper his anger with mercy. Friar Francis, Leonato, perhaps there is a way for Claudio to publicly acknowledge his mistake and atone for his actions. Let us consider a plan. The air crackled with anticipation as Claudio, his heart heavy with remorse, prepared to fulfill his promise to Leonato. He had agreed to publicly mourn Hero and, as a testament to his regret, to marry Leonato's niece, a young woman who he was told bore a striking resemblance to Hero.
I vow to honor Hero's memory, to love and cherish her always, even in death.
The ceremony, shrouded in an atmosphere of somber reflection, commenced. Claudio, his voice thick with emotion, spoke of his love for Hero, his words heavy with the weight of his regret.
Hero, my love, my heart aches for you. I was a fool to doubt you.
As the ceremony reached its climax, a collective gasp rippled through the assembled guests. Leonato, with a twinkle in his eye, led a veiled figure towards Claudio. The veil lifted, and there, standing before a stunned Claudio, was Hero, radiant and very much alive.
Hero, is it really you?
Claudio, his eyes widening in disbelief, could only stare at the apparition before him. Joy, pure and overwhelming, washed over him, erasing the guilt and sorrow that had clouded his heart.
Yes, Claudio, it's me. I'm alive.
Hero, her eyes shimmering with tears, reached out a hand, her touch a tangible reminder of the love that had endured. The revelation of Hero's survival transformed the somber atmosphere into one of unrestrained joy. Laughter replaced tears as guests erupted in cheers and applause, their voices echoing the happiness radiating from the reunited lovers.
Beatrice, I have something to say. I love you truly deeply.
Benedict, his heart overflowing with love and newfound confidence, seized the opportunity to confess his own transformed feelings. He approached Beatrice, his eyes shining with an intensity that belied their years of playful banter.
My words may have often been sharp, but my love for you is sincere.
Oh, Benedict, I too have something to admit. I love you. Your wit, your spirit, all of it.
Beatrice, her own heart stirred by the day's events and Benedict's heartfelt confession, met his gaze with an answering warmth. The wall of witty retorts crumbled, revealing the vulnerable heart beneath. And so, what began as a day of mourning transformed into a double celebration of love. Hero and Claudio, their bond strengthened by the trials they had endured, exchanged vows, their eyes reflecting their deep love and commitment.
I, Hero, take you, Claudio, to be my husband.
And I, Claudio, take you, Hero, to be my wife.
And in a testament to the transformative power of love, Benedict and Beatrice, their witty sparring transformed into a love built on mutual respect and admiration, joined their hands in marriage.
I, Beatrice, take you, Benedict, to be my husband.
And I, Benedict, take you, Beatrice, to be my wife.
As the sun began its descent, casting a warm glow over Messina, the courtyard of Leonato's estate transformed into a scene of vibrant celebration. Musicians played a lively tune, their melodies filling the air with an infectious energy. Guests, their faces flushed with happiness, danced with abandon, their laughter echoing through the night. Don John's malicious scheme, exposed by the unlikely duo of Dogberry and Verges, had ultimately failed to destroy the happiness he so desperately envied. His attempts to sow discord had instead strengthened the bonds of love and friendship, proving that even in the face of adversity, truth and love prevail. The festivities continued late into the night, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of love. As the stars twinkled above, casting their silent blessing on the joyous scene below, Messina, once again, basked in the warmth of harmony and hope.